Hello and welcome to the Cybersecurity Insider, episode 28. I'm Yigal Behar, your host. Today with me is Steve. You there?
I'm here.
Okay. And so yesterday I had a podcast about 27 about the what's going on and what businesses should do with this war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and how that will affect us or affecting us depending how you see it and how long this will take. Um, so I have here Steve Magnani, and together we're gonna try to break it down a little bit, maybe from a strategic point of view, but also look at other things that um, we need to think about. Steve,
Yeah, happy to join you.
thank
Um,
you.
just so everyone's aware, I have 30 plus years with a large financial institution in the United States. Uh, Most of that time I was involved with the global information security team, and I'm presently consulting information security for another U.S. corporation on the East Coast. I have been exposed to every domain, every facet of information security in my experience, and I'm more than happy to talk with my good friend Yigal today with regard to the heightened need for awareness and action, especially in light of the fact that one of the biggest nation states in the world that uh, provokes individuals into the dark web world of hacking and now ransomware, will probably be hyper motivated based upon the uh, financial restrictions that are imposed upon that nation state, and that one being Russia.
Excellent. So this is actually you just opened the topic that we now scrolling how this war can increase cyber threats. And I know we talked about this earlier today in the preparation for this podcast. And so what are the threats? Because I saw interesting thing that the cryptocurrency, the value has increased dramatically in the past few days, and probably it's not a surprise, I would say, maybe, but then the question is why, and possibility is with this crisis, because this is, as you mentioned a minute ago, the ransomware. After the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency went down for a while, I think it was 50K and went to, I don't know, like 30 or something. I mean, it's keep changing. Um, so why this will now becoming an issue? Mhm. And so I want you to say something about it, because we talked about it and this is your idea. So I want people to hear that idea. What's the connection between this war and how that will, as you said, heighten the security threats, cybersecurity threats?
Yeah, so I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I would tend to believe that considering uh, the customary financial assets that are currently being frozen across five major international banks. Um, those are the assets belonging to the UK, or I'm sorry, to Russia. That they are pivoting extraordinarily towards the utilization of crypto, which is, the world is pivoting towards crypto nonetheless. But in terms of value, its value is being pumped up because of the fact that they are suffering such a demise in the value of um, traditional monetary means, which is the ruble or cash.
Monetary system. Will
Yeah,
all the money goes through all the central banks and through the shared network to exchange numbers, which is money.
exactly. So they're taking a hit on their financial assets, which are being held back by all these institutions and
Held ransom.
yeah, and in a way, yes, we are holding them ransom for the unfortunate actions that they've taken. Um, so they might have had something to do with propping up the value of crypto. Um, but I would say that I would be very careful to jump into crypto if you haven't been in it. And I'm not by any means extending financial advice, but it, crypto could just as easily suffer a, an opposite downturn if uh, if the world figures out a way that they're going to impact Russia's ability to utilize crypto as an alternative to cash or rubles.
Right. And so you mentioned earlier, you said because of the inaccessibility to those financial systems networks, um, Russia now will come to a point that they're going to need to do something about it because they need cash, and I'm sure they are not stupid people over there. And they prepared. They had, months, maybe more than a year to prepare,
Mhm.
and they got whatever they needed in terms of raw material, funds, probably gold, silver. So it's a hard assets that they can exchange. I know that Russia, China, and who is another country that were also looking to build like an alternative, and Iran,
Yeah.
to build an alternative financial system that will allow them to trade between each other and not to rely on the Western financial systems. And so now that will cause something. And you said it's going to cause more threats because now they need access to those places. They need access to these funds. So probably they're going to go cyber about it, and they're going to launch more ransomware attacks. Can be one of them, and that will lead to an increase in the crypto, because how you're going to be paid? You're going to be paid by paying the ransom. So I think we should expect, the likelihood is very high that we'll have more ransomware attacks coming. And this is something that it's been going on. It's not new. And you said earlier, the threats are still here. What's the reason now to jump about cybersecurity? Like, we didn't have those threats before this war. A year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, we had, majority the same threats. It just escalates in terms of the how many attacks you have per day, and the successful breaches, and then the amounts of information that are coming out and being leaked. So this is what do you have to say in addition?
Well, first, before I go into that topic, I just wanted to mention that what I'm reading as of today is that Bitcoin prices have actually fallen.
Oh,
Yeah, they have
interesting.
fallen,
Okay.
and that is, I would have expected that more than anything. Um,
Oh, you would expect that the prices of bitcoins will go down as they are now, or you would expect that it will go up? Well,
no, I think that when you have a global event like this, um, the you're dealing with an impact to global confidence, especially as it involves the financial investment uh, markets, and all commodities. Well, with the exception of those that are now feared to be in control of certain nefarious parties, like the essential elements that we get from Russia for the manufacture of automobiles and aerodynamics and so forth and so on. Those will become much more expensive. But currency itself is dropping because, on the whole, the markets are becoming less reliable on understanding what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, and next month. That typically drives down currencies. But with regard to the impact to businesses around the world, and especially in any of the NATO countries and the United States, I think it's pretty clear that given that Putin is going to have diminished resources, financial resources, he is going to not only enact and enable, but actually demand the the dark web forces that operate under his cover to go out and manufacture a lot more ransomware attacks, because he will be the recipient of those receipts once they're recovered from the victims. So for every business in the United States and every business in the West associated with NATO specifically, I would expect that there is going to be a heightened degree of monitoring for low-hanging fruit and attacks, and the application of a ransomware bill, so that Putin can continue to wreak havoc in one sense, and in another way attempt to sustain himself given the lack of financial resources that have been held back and blocked.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't expect, so what's happening in terms of the prices, the value of other currencies, gold and silver, are those going to go up, going to be the same?
Gold has been going up.
What?
Gold has been going up.
And, well, what's going on with the financial markets, like the stock exchange? I know it's last time that I checked was going down. Is it still the case?
It was going down for the weeks or the month leading up to this event, and actually, it's amazing that the day of the invasion, the Dow was down 800 plus points before the open, and actually came back in the green in the same day as did the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq did 477 yesterday, which is an extraordinarily good day for the Nasdaq. So
yeah, I'm looking now at the charts, and I see on the 24th. I mean, before the 24th, it went down. 23rd, all the way 22nd. Actually, from the 22nd up to 24th, it was going down. And then around 9:30 a.m., it's starting to go up. And almost to the same place before. So most of them, like Apple, Starbucks, Tesla, Amazon, are all up. Microsoft, S&P 500 is also up. Gold, it suffered. Yeah, well, this is maybe more because of market conditions and other things. But yeah, the 24th shows with the gold falling and a little bit of recovery.
So Yigal, today, the Dow Jones is up 767 at this moment. That's extraordinary, considering that an event like this would typically have the markets howling down.
Right.
So, I'm not sure that I can understand why this is, unless the sentiment is that in the month leading up to this event, where the market did terribly, they essentially baked into the market value the event itself. They were anticipating the event. I mean, for 2 weeks, Biden was saying that Russia was definitely going to be invading. So I think the market did suffer several really horrific days based on that news, to come back slightly and then drop down again. But now that the event has occurred, um, and no one thought that they would actually take over the whole country. I mean, I think when they went into that eastern part of the country where the separatists live, that they would stay there, right, and be happy with that. But the fact that they just breached all the borders on all sides, and actually have troops today, right, in Kiev, um, it hasn't reflected negatively on the market at all. And the market actually has reflected the opposite, better than normal.
Maybe it's not such a great threat to the markets, and nobody is really so much concerned about this war. And they said, okay, it's happening somewhere very far from us, and we in America, we don't need to so much to be concerned about it, and we can continue with our daily business, daily life. Until it doesn't touch you, you don't feel anything. You won't say, oh, I have this threat in my back door, I don't need to do anything about this. It's not in my front yard now. Now, really, I need to take an action.
Well, I mean, the fact that you don't have mortar going off in your neighbor's yard is one thing, but the thing is, it will affect us. I mean, Biden has said, even in his press conference yesterday, that
Who said?
Biden,
No.
it will affect us economically. We do import. I believe we import. I think they said 15 million barrels, either a
Wheat.
week or a month.
Is
From
it wheat or rice from Russia?
Oh, no, 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 no. We're not importing wheat or rice. If
No.
anything, they're getting it from us. But one of the former Clinton officials called Russia just a huge gas station with a lot of military might, because that's their primary export, oil.
Hmm.
Now, we don't need their oil. If Mr. Biden decides to allow us to drill and allow us to frack the way we used to, at one point in time during the last administration, the United States became not only energy independent, but the leading exporter of
Right.
oil and gas in the
Right.
world.
Yes.
Okay, we hadn't done that since the last century.
Right.
In 1 year, we put ourselves in a subservient position with regard to energy, and that is bad, because energy is a critical commodity for national security.
Right.
So while we don't have to take that oil from Putin, the Europeans do, and
Oh,
they
they can do. Yeah, they're taking their gas and oil from Russia, specifically Germany and France. They didn't say anything, so they
yeah,
know if they're gonna say something, he's gonna cut their throats right away.
yeah. And then to go further on the economic impact, as I said earlier, the rare earth minerals that they have, the amount of uranium that they have, that we use for the manufacture of cars and aerodynamic planes and ships and so forth and so on. It's very important. So if the price is going to go up, inflation is going to go up, right? Cars are going to become extraordinarily more expensive. Any
Right.
other end products utilizing those rare earth materials are going to become more expensive. If they're more expensive to big industry, it will trickle down to the small guy, and it will hit everybody in the pocketbook.
Me and you.
Right.
So if you want to buy something, maybe the outcome of this call is just okay. If this is the case, let me buy my new car and just set the price for it from now before it's going to go up. And if I need to buy anything else, I better buy it now because it's going to be greater than. I mean, still the prices are still going up. So inflation is already here. It's probably going what? Going to double after that. Who knows?
Well, I don't know, doubling, but I heard 10%. You know, it's
It's
sitting.
already 10%. It's already 10%. They say
Some
five,
people have
seven.
said that. Yeah,
I think it's going to be more based
yeah,
on.
and keep in mind that this is the rate prior to the Fed, um, throttling down inflation supposedly through the use of interest rates.
Right.
So interest rates will only serve to reduce the market value again. An interest rate rises, it's like kryptonite to the markets. All right.
Mhm.
Historically, that is the markets do not react well to that, despite what this war is doing to the markets today. Um, so that just means it's going to be harder for you and me to finance a car, a boat, a house, if we so choose, um, in the future.
Food.
And
What about food? Living
well,
expenses. Yeah,
well,
you're going to maybe a bit luxurious expenses, but let's talk about the common man. I
well, I'm
mean,
just talking about interest rates for now. But you're right. I mean, fuel, the impact on the cost of fuel is not just on combustible engines; it's on everything, right?
right,
The tractors that work on the farms to create all the food goods, right? Their costs are going to go up, and their costs were already extraordinarily high last year. They're going to
right.
be higher this year. Um, uh, it's it's going to be a difficult time.
So how this? Okay, so I understand we'll have that, financial impact in the goods and services. So that might be also causing businesses not to invest in cyber protection. To say, hey, I'm going to be more conservative since my sales are very slowing. They're slowing down. My expenses are already high, and now to add to that all those expenses in addition now, so now I need to invest more money. I need to get more people. I need to get more consulting. I need to get all those services from other companies and products. Maybe I shouldn't. I shouldn't do that because I can't survive now. So maybe I'm gonna hold back.
Well, I mean, if the price of everything else is going up, right, it's going to make the little guy a little bit more concerned about paying for the first time for cybersecurity where they might have never entertained doing such. Even though if no matter what size business you are, if you're dealing with confidential PII, you're dealing with movement of money, sensitive data overall. Uh, it, the requirement to have control gaps covered with malware and monitoring and so forth and so on. It's like it's no longer like a nice to have. It's the equivalent of your electrical bill. Right? You must have that in place. If you're
Right.
paying for malware on your personal laptop, you sure as heck should be paying for all of the necessary security in your business server or servers, and endpoints, and uh, your entire technical ecosystem.
It's not what you want to say. It's not optional anymore, like it used to be, or more nice to have. But this is now a mandatory, and you need to add a little bit more security to what you had before. In some cases, maybe you need more than just a little bit. You need to do much more than you did in the prior years. So, you
Yeah, and
know,
what we're saying here is that because of the heightened threat that these nation state enabled um, ransomware attackers will be and have, uh, in this case with the war going on, all of those businesses are going to be more highly subjected to the possibility of a hack and a ransomware attack.
Right. But we keep saying ransomware, but anything else besides ransomware out there? Do you think that will have more? So besides ransomware, we know that that will increase. The likelihood that ransomware attacks will increase. We know it's going to be higher than normal.
All right.
What
So
else?
other than that, I think at a much higher level, right? Uh, Going away from the little guy, so to speak. Uh, the NATO nations and the United States need to ensure that their critical infrastructure is secure, because at this point in time, Putin has no reason not to try to, cut the electricity or the water in any one of one or more large cities in any one of those countries. Uh,
Right. Right.
so, but we already know, Yigal, you and I, that there are resources and efforts to do that. The question is, is it being done appropriately and properly?
This is always the case. They may have the ability to do something about it, but maybe just laziness, pure laziness, or I don't know, something
Well,
else.
I mean, at a at a urban level in the United States or in any country, okay, I can't. I wouldn't call it laziness. I would. I'm sure there are people who have been hired and are in place to ensure that critical systems are operating um, with as few control gaps as possible. Now, the problem is that you and I both know, how many pieces of critical infrastructure is sitting out there that is beyond its serviceable date, right? And they don't have the money, or they don't have the means, or there is some kind of a conflict in their system where they cannot make that change to upgrade
Right.
until a certain amount of work.
Conditions met.
Yes,
Conditions met.
right. So then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you're sitting there and you're basically praying that nothing happens.
Like behind me, the duck, the sitting duck.
Right.
That's why it's here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. All those the people who are in that situation are literally sitting ducks. They are.
So you mentioned ICS, Industrial Control Systems, which is translated to grid, no electric grid, gas supply, like what happened with the colonial pipeline.
Mhm.
And you need to put the money out there. You need to put all the efforts in order to do that. But also, as me, as a personal person, I'll go now and buy gas and I'll have some cash at hand just in case. No, this is your preparedness that I know I do it myself. I have water, I have extra water in case I need water. I mean, everybody should do that, regardless of this a war there. You need to have some sort of backups in place and have some preparation of the preparedness, as we like to say. So we have ransomware. We have threats to the critical infrastructure. In general, probably we'll have see more data leakage, right? Those information will be out there. Bigger companies, maybe supply chain companies like Microsoft, they have a lot of information out there. They're probably going to be prime target,
Mhm.
and probably Google also. They're going to be all those cloud services.
Yeah. All
They
the CSPs
are
will get.
they're going to be, because other companies are dependent on for instance, Amazon, AWS. A lot of companies are using AWS. If they are being impacted, all those companies that are using those services to provide other services for us, for instance, they will suffer from it. So everybody will get something, will suffer from it to some extent,
Yeah.
and maybe more.
Yeah. And think about this, you go. It's not now whether or not uh, they need to go through an effort to attack us. If you recall, the SolarWinds attack, right? There are 30,000 systems in the United States that were penetrated. Uh, and I'm just pointing out that one. Okay, so think about all the others that have occurred, Kassera since, and others before. How many logic bombs, how many um, tools are sitting inside?
Backdoors, backdoors,
Yeah, right. All
waiting
they need
for
to do,
income message. Okay, wake up, get going. You're talking
yes,
about a botnet. That's what
right,
you're saying, a
right.
botnet. Yeah.
Activating the ability to wreak havoc because they've already inserted it in the back end of our systems.
Yes, they are waiting there silent until something will when the case is needed, and then they will be activated. So we're coming to, I think, almost to the end of this podcast, and just to go roughly what SMBs should do. I mean, I covered a little bit yesterday. What do you think? Well, what those SMBs should be doing right now? What should they go and get going right now?
Uh, if it were my business, I would bring someone in like yourself, and I would immediately provide information with regard to what you need to know. What I do, how do I do it, where do I do it, right? Provide you with my topology, and then get an information security as IT assessment done of my business ecosystem immediately to identify any gaps in my systems.
Right.
And hopefully you don't have too many. And if you do have
Hopefully,
a few, you will sit down with Yigal and you will prioritize
with
what
my
needs to
team.
get done first with your team, right?
I'm not the only
Priority.
one in the team.
Yes.
You're also in the team.
Yes.
Uh, so, um, anything else you want to add? I'm sorry, I just got you.
And, I mean, that you asked me what should the business owner do first and foremost. And if you haven't done anything, that's what I would do.
Yeah, like asking when was the last time that you did risk assessment, or when was the last time that you checked your backups? So one of the methods how to protect from those cyber threats is to have a good backup system. And when was the last time that you did a drill? Did you try to restore the entire system? Let's say you're backing
Right.
up the server or servers, as you say, to the cloud. How long is going to take you to restore that data from the cloud? Probably days and weeks. But with a rush to the cloud, you tend to forget those. You don't see those things. And also, talking about backups, also ransomware, they are looking for backups specifically, and they're going to try to encrypt those backups. So it's not enough that you have a backup on the cloud. You need to have backup on site, but not only on site because you want a fast recovery in case of a disaster. Because so let's say if you need few files from the cloud, it's fine. But if you need the entire system, you're not going to wait weeks until everything will be downloaded
No.
and implemented. It's going to take. So the other alternative is to have backup on site, but then when you bring the backup on site as well, you'll have another issue because those backups are going to be a target. So now you need to isolate them from your existing network. And if you want to know about this, you can contact me. I'll tell you. Um, so with the backups, okay, what else? We need to increase visibility to make sure that everything is being monitored, logs are being turned on, you get all the events to a central place, you do correlation. Any small events that pop up on your screen should be reported, even if it's been blocked. You need to see what's going on because that will give you an indication of something that it's going on already on the network. But because it's a lower alert, you won't do anything. Say, okay, it's nothing. It's already was blocked, but maybe it's a sign for for something to come up later on. So you need to be prepared for it. To make sure that everything is being updated to the latest version. That's what we are being doing even before that event. We'll keep pushing our customers to make sure that all the sensors, all the input sensors are protected, up to date, but also the operating system. We keep pushing our customers to update the systems. This goes very long way in order to protect system from known vulnerabilities, but maybe sometimes also from 0-day, depends. And change access rights, remove access rights, remove unused accounts. If you have accounts, user accounts that are stale accounts that are not been used for months, just delete them. If you need them, disable the account. Doesn't help. You have cloud services. Make sure you enable MFA, multi-factor authentication. Change password. Don't use the same password all over the place. Doesn't make any sense. I know it's easy. Sometimes I do this mistake also. So keep changing the passwords. And I guess be safe and pray to God.
Yes. Yeah. There are, as you know, we've been talking about how the industry has been utilizing a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning capability
Right.
and various different tools that really allow you to achieve a 0-day kind of scenario. So, for instance, with regard to phishing, if you are afraid that one of your employees might accidentally, um, respond to a phishing email that has a payload inside of a clickable URL that they're going to click. There are now ways and means in which to connect to systems which will um, segregate that potential liability from your network, and identify it before it actually hits your domain controller or hits your network, and then they're able to find all of your passwords, and then they can really do a lot of damage. So that's just one example how they, and that's probably going to cost you a little bit more money, right? But you know, because you and I know that 70% of all hacks and ransomware attacks start that way. Um, I would say that should be a very worthy candidate for some additional spending. But it's up to you, the business owner, and depending on what you have behind that. If you're operating in cloud, like Yigal said, you got to have multi-factor. You need to have multi-factor no matter what and everything. But don't forget, multi-factor has been compromised.
Exactly.
So, if you have really sensitive stuff or stuff that, is a little bit higher on the food chain in terms of what the bad guys might be wanting to go after, then you might want to think twice about some more sophisticated methods of
Intelligence tools that will help you to find if you'll be the next target.
Well, yeah, that. No, what I was referring to was, either biometric multi-factor authentication
Oh, okay. You're
or
talking
even
about okay.
behavioral,
Authentication.
yeah,
Authentication. Okay.
behavioral methods to substitute for static MFA.
Right.
So there are things in the pipeline that are better than you think, that are not well advertised, and there are things in the pipeline on the way that are going to make things more easier to manage from a business perspective. But again, it's going to cost money. But think of it this way, it's
What's the alternative?
yeah, right. Be out of business and owe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of value in Bitcoin to a bad guy.
Well, that's one key, and then one aspect. So the cost to pay for the ransom in order to retrieve the data, to decrypt the data, but also reputational damage, loss of revenue. Employees are not doing anything. They're waiting and waiting, and maybe they went home, but still you need to pay salaries. Still you need to call somebody to clean up the mess that you originally made by not doing anything. And and then probably the authorities will come after you because, hey, you didn't do anything. You didn't do your due diligence. Now it's gonna cost you much more. So I think we are coming to the top of the hour. Um, with this podcast. I hope that everybody listened will take something to do. Actually, yesterday after recording the episode 27th, I sent it not only posted on YouTube and social media, but also I sent it as an email. And actually, one client replied and said, "Oh, thank you for reminding me that we need to connect the backup that you shipped us a few weeks ago." And yes, I did update the firmware. Although I sent him an email to update the firewall firmware, he finally did it. And then he enabled the MFA to his account, deleted some accounts, said, "Oh, we need to do this and that. What else should we do?" I like those customers because they are taking the initiatives and they are willing to do whatever. Then he's asking, "Okay, what else can we do?" This is a perfect. I mean, I love those customers. Even one that saw the yesterday's episode took it to his heart and did right away what it's needed to be done. So, hopefully everybody else will do will do such a thing.
Hopefully, most of your customers won't act just based upon seeing your face on a podcast or on a YouTube. Hopefully, they are aware of these things by other means, other alerts.
Well, that's the issue. They are counting on us to come and say, "Hey, this is going on, and you should be aware." Right? They are busy managing their business, whatever it is. If the IT manager still needs to manage the system, the business owner needs still to look at sales and expenses. But so what's the point of hiring us? You will hire us in order to help you to see things that you can't see, and you don't have the time, and you don't have the capabilities. Anything can be in terms of capability, like um, the knowledge, the expertise, the experience, the process in place, the team, whatever it is. They don't have it, so they're not going to build it from scratch. It's going to cost them a lot. So they're counting on us to come and argument whatever they need. They still need to do the business, manage the business, but we come and help them to improve over time. Um, Anything else you want to add?
Um, well, the only other thing I'll say is that the CISA of the United States sent out a note yesterday indicating that you would be foolish. She used the word foolish not to uh, get your cybersecurity health and posture in place appropriately.
Right.
So the storm is coming as a result of this Ukrainian skirmish. Well, it's not a skirmish; it's an invasion.
Yeah,
Uh,
invasion. Yeah. Well,
and
we had a pandemic earlier, still is, still with us, and now we have that will probably wake up some people um, for those events, and they will be more proactive than reactive, maybe.
I'd be willing to bet if we have this call inside of the next 3 months that you will see a large increase in attempts. And obviously, with attempts, you're going to have successful uh, breaches and compromises.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see it in the numbers. Always the numbers tell the story, and the numbers, if they're going to go up, um, we'll see that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
very
right.
good. Thank you, Steve. Probably going to have another recording maybe next week. Um, I would like you to join,
All
and
right.
of course, thank you very much for joining and watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. Now you can relax, lean back, enjoy the weekend, and do whatever you like to do with the family. Have some meals, have some laughs, listen to some music, relax a little bit, and take care. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye bye.